My name is Catherine Kamau. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. I received Christ in my heart on January 16th, 1988. And since then, he has been my refuge, fortress, and ever-present help. I'm married to one man, Michael Kamau Kega, and we have been blessed with 3 children. Our firstborn son, Evans Eric Kega Kamau, lives and works in California State. Our second son, Dennis Gemma Kamau, will soon graduate in Doctor of Medicine this year back home in Kenya. And our only daughter, Rosemary Wajiko Kamau, is also attending Kenya School of Law, and she also graduates as a lawyer. And we thank God for all these blessings. I was born in Kenya in a district called Murang'a, Central Province. I moved in Nairobi in 1978 and lived there until September 21st, year 2008, when I came to visit United States of America. As I speak, I'm in Washington, the Evergreen State. I want to state that I came to United States of America in good health with high aspirations, as I had come as an exchange scholar in an exchange training program at University of Columbia in Missouri State. After the training, I relocated to this Washington State. And today, listeners, I want to share with you part of an event that left a mark in my life. I know you are familiar with these words in Romans 8:28 that says, "And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose." And that is found in Romans 8:28. As I share my story, it's just a summary because my entire life would take a whole week or even more to share with you listeners. I was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 53 years, and that was on June 11th, 2011. I attended a free health day, which was organized by a Kenyan community church. I underwent a mammogram test, but that checkup changed my life. Before that, I had done a previous checkup, which was 2 years earlier, but the results came out normal. After this medical test, I received a call from one of the employees at a Swedish medical hospital, and I was asked to book another second appointment because they needed to confirm what the results were showing. So I went ahead and booked for the appointment, which was arranged on July 1st, 2011. When I went for this second test, the radiologist told me that she needed to do ultrasound breast biopsy. I asked her what that involved, and she explained to me that it needed to have some body tissue extracted from my body. I had not heard that before, and so this surprised me. I was scared by just imagining my body going through surgery. I asked it to be allowed to leave the test room, and I called a friend on phone to seek for guidance. My friend advised me to seek for a second opinion. Secondly, I believed that I was not sick, and I felt bitter that I was being used as a sample for my body to be studied with, as I was not feeling any pain. While I was leaving the hospital, I told whoever was attending to me that I was going to call later. And this was because the radiologist had insisted that I should not leave the hospital before booking another appointment. I was disturbed due to the fact that I did not have medical insurance and my income was only enough for my basic needs. I had heard stories of how people's wages get garnished to meet the medical bills, and I did not want this to happen to me. As I left the hospital, I prayed to God, during which I asked him if he had seen that all the sufferings I had gone through in life was not enough, and now he had allowed the devil to come and take away my good health. While in this disturbed mind, I called my friend Ruth, told her of the diagnosis and my feelings towards it. She told me she had gone through biopsy, and for her it was not cancerous, so I should not fear. Although I listened to her talks, I was still not convinced that I was sick and I needed to go for biopsy. I proceeded home, and on arrival, another friend, whose name is Margaret, and she was my neighbor, called me on phone and invited me to her house. As I visited her, we talked, and even though I had not planned to disclose to her about the diagnosis, I found myself asking her to pray for me. In the process, I had to mention the reason why I needed prayer. This friend used very strong words by saying that we shall only die once, and no one knows how death will come. So I should go ahead and book an appointment for biopsy. Hearing her say that compelled me to book for a biopsy appointment. On July 19th, I went to Health Point Hospital to seek for a second opinion. And this was because I wanted to be treated in a government hospital, as I was fearing about the financial implications. After explaining to the doctor about my previous mammogram test results, he told me I had no choice other than to book a biopsy appointment with the Swedish Medical Center, as the government hospital did not have any funds. I was scheduled for ultra biopsy appointment on August 1st, 2011. The next day, as I was traveling to work, I received a phone call, again from Swedish hospital, and I received shocking news that I had cancer and I needed urgent surgery. On July 20th, 2011, I received the news that my brother passed away, as he was also going through treatment of prostate cancer. And before that, my sister had also died of some form of different cancer. This made me realize that cancer may be hereditary, and I decided to call upon God and pleaded with him to save me from dying, so that I could be a remnant in the family to declare that there's a God who heals and that we are not a cursed family. I must mention to you listeners that at this point the Lord changed my mind somehow magically, because I started seeing everything positively, and I could not share with my family members because they were going through the funeral preparation for my brother. So I had to keep it to myself for some time. Mysteriously, my spirit started to see things spiritually and testifying of how God will make sure I live to declare of his wonders and praise in the land of the living. I started getting confirmation from God that this sickness was going to glorify him. I asked God several questions, one of which was why he allowed me to be sick when he knew I was all alone here in America, as my family was back in Kenya. I also asked him where the finances would come from to meet the medical bills. To my amazement, I received one answer to these many questions, and I heard the Lord's voice talk to me and assuring me that He will not share His glory with anyone. I applied for charity funds at Swedish Hospital, and the hospital provided me with the funds to meet the MRI test. I was assigned a social worker who graciously followed for me to obtain the medical insurance. However, it took 1 whole month before I received a response for Medicaid insurance. Through God's intervention, I received funds through the hospital charity program for my MRI test. And thereafter, Medicaid came through by confirming that they were going to sponsor my ongoing hospital bills. My husband and my 2 kids who are in Kenya were first oblivious to my case, since I wanted to keep them from worrying about me. However, a friend convinced me that I needed to inform them of what I was going through. And when I did that, they became a source of encouragement to me, as each day they were calling me to know how much progress I had made. And they went ahead and did research about cancer, and they would email me any relevant information that I needed to read at that particular time. My firstborn son also traveled all the way from California to come and see me and to give me moral support. I thank God for all the support that I received from my family members, from the church, and friends. The church continued to pray for me, and they also assisted me financially. During the MRI test, when I went to the test, the Lord was ministering to me, and I heard a voice confirming to me. And I imagined of the mightiness of God, how He controls and organizes the entire universe, such that all animals in the world and human beings who go about their lives concurrently, there has never been any commotion. And this was a confirmation to me of the mastery of the Lord. This gave me assurance that He is in charge of my health and everything will be fine. After receiving the results of the MRI, the doctor called and wanted to schedule the surgery date. I decided to go with 2 friends. One of them was a nurse, as I was advised that I may not be in a position to understand the medical terms. And this friend, who had some background in nursing, would help me to choose what option would fit me best. And so I thank God for friends. And I would advise any listener that may be facing that kind of a challenge to make sure that you have friends who can support you, and go to them for any consultation to see the doctor, as it makes a big difference. I was to choose between mastectomy and lumpectomy. From the explanation given by the doctor, either option was good for me because the breast cancer was diagnosed at first stage. However, the difference in the two was that mastectomy would require a major surgery, admission in hospital, and more time to recover. Besides, even with mastectomy, there was 1% chance of cancer recurring. As for lumpectomy, it was to be a minor surgery which did not require admission in hospital. and was to heal within a few days. And again, it required minor radiation, and it had 6% chances of recurring. The doctor explained to me that I didn't have to make a quick decision at that particular day. I needed to take some time and think over it. And at that point, I asked the doctor, since I had already done some research at this moment about how cancer spreads within a short time, so I asked the doctor if I'm going to have more time to make a decision, what effect would it be having in my body? And she explained that the type of cancer that was diagnosed would not spread as fast as other types of cancer. So I took time to pray about it, and I decided I will go for lumpectomy. I was convinced that I'll be among the 94% whose cancer does not recur. And so I chose lumpectomy. I decided I'm going to exercise my faith. Again, I considered that I would not afford many days of downtime, as I did not have any family members to support me with my daily living activities. I prayed to God to enable me to be able to go on with my life even after the surgery, as I did not want to count on anyone to help with activities of daily living. And I'm glad that God answered my prayer. Surgery was done on September 7th, 2011, and on the same day that morning, God ministered with me